Black magic targets your mind. So when your mind is idle, when you are not doing any action, any activity, when you are just sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, that is when the black magic works more on you. That is why Paramahansa Yogananda has mentioned that there should be no gap in between, meaning you should be constantly creative. Now there are two ways. Either you can continue to be creative by making yourself busy, or else you depend on the situation to get some job or to get some business so that you remain busy. So there are two ways. It doesn't matter which way you go. It is important that you remain busy, because an idle mind, an empty mind, is a perfect target for black magic. Moon is like a mirror. Whatever comes before it, the mirror reflects. That is how the moon is. And that is what I am going to discuss more in this podcast. That what happens when Mars and then Rahu comes in contact with moon. Then how does all this play of black magic works? How does it affect the psycho, the mind, and how the person turns out to be? So let's begin. Moon is your mind, and mind is like a mirror. Whatsoever comes before the mind, it absorbs and reflects back just the way a mirror does. If an ugly woman stands, the mirror will reflect ugly face. And if a beautiful woman stands before a mirror, the mirror will reflect her beautiful face. The problem is not with the mirror simply reflects the face that comes before it. Mind is just like the mirror, and the person standing before the mirror is similar to a planet. Based on the quality and nature of the planet, the mind simply reflects like a mirror. Remember, the mind is like a mirror. Whatever comes in front of it is reflected in it. But a mirror doesn't cry, "Oh, I got dirty," when a dirty picture comes in front of it. And it doesn't jump up and say, "Oh, I have got these wonderful qualities," when something good is reflected. Moon in astrology is your mind. So the moon chart becomes significant in evaluating the overall quality of your mind. Whenever moon is in contact with Rahu, with Mars, with Saturn and Mercury, and moreover, if it is placed in the 6th, 8th, 12th or 4th house, and on top of that, if the moon is also placed in a malefic rash nakshatra ruled by Rahu, Mars, Saturn and Mercury, then the moon is afflicted and the person may have a very negative mindset, which ultimately leads him as well as those who come in contact with him in deep miseries. One such conjunction is Moon-Mars conjunction. However, this conjunction becomes bad only when it falls in the 4th house, in the 6th house, in the 8th house and 12th house. Especially if moon is located in Scorpio, Pisces, Virgo or Cancer sign. Always remember, the most mean person is the person belonging to Virgo sign, especially if his or her moon is associated with Mars, Saturn or Rahu. Of all the 12 zodiac signs, Virgo is the sign that I always try to stay away from. However, if Jupiter is with the moon in Virgo, then the meanness of Virgo sign is not found. This episode I am going to discuss more about Moon Mars conjunction and how it can lead the native into the dark world of black magic. Moon Mars is like a mixture of salt and red chili powder. In India, people like to have French fries by applying a mixture of salt and red chili powder because then the French fries taste spicy. Spicy, hot is how this conjunction of Moon and Mars is. As long as it is hot and spicy, it is good. It can give you immense sexual pleasures. And the native having this conjunction definitely has a strong sex appeal. So far, so good. However, when Rahu makes entry through his association or aspect, then this hot and spicy conjunction becomes an unholy conjunction. Because now this Rahu can lead the person into the dark side of human life. Either the person enters the underworld or the dark world of black magic. This chart displays house placement where Moon Mars conjunction is not good for the native. As you can see, Moon Mars in the 4th house, in the 6th house, in the 8th house and 12th house is one strong indication that the mind, that is moon, can come under the influence of black magic spell, and the native may suffer a lot in life due to the dark world of black magic, ghosts and haunted places. So far, the native is just a victim of black magic. However, the whole game changes when the native is not a victim but a predator who casts black magic spells on others by either practicing black magic spells or by appointing a black magician to target those whom he dislikes or hates. This chart displays a typical placement of Moon-Mars-Rahu that can lead the native in doing black magic on others. As you can see, Moon-Mars-Rahu in the 12th, in the 4th, in the 6th and in the 8th house is not good for the native, because by doing black magic on others, the native is actually falling from grace, is actually increasing the quota of his sins. Rahu's entry in the domain of Moon and Mars simply makes the mind tamasic by nature. Tamasic means arrogant, revenge seeker, rash, rude, unforgiving and quarrelsome by nature. It is natural for such a native to use black magic to harm others. How black magic works? It works through your mind, which is moon. And if moon is with haughty Mars and naughty Rahu, then the mind of such a person is very much corrupted. And a corrupt mind leads you to many miseries of life. Mars is sexual and Rahu is a sex addict. And when both Mars and Rahu aspect the mind, that is moon, then on many occasions the person either becomes a sex addict or also forces a woman to have sex with him. Overall, the association of moon with Mars and Rahu is indeed a sign of concern, since this type of placement only brings much miseries in life than otherwise. Accidents, danger from fire, sudden upheavals in life. Many such traits are found when Rahu aspects Moon-Mars conjunction. The aspect of Rahu works more prominently when Rahu is with Moon and Mars. However, Rahu's drushti on this conjunction also creates much miseries in life. The most negative placement is when Moon, Mars, and Rahu are placed in the sign of Scorpio in the 8th house or 12th house. Scorpio, as such, is a highly secretive sign. Natives born with Scorpio moon sign and Scorpio ascendant are too secretive by nature. It is difficult to trust a secretive person because you don't know the real face of such a person. And when Rahu is in Scorpio with Moon and Mars, then it is better to stay away from such a person unless you want to risk your life. When there are too many malefic planets such as Mars, Saturn, Rahu, and Sun in the 6th, 8th, or 12th house of the Navamsha chart, then definitely the native comes in contact with the dark world of black magic and voodoo spells. A young woman having her Mars, Rahu, Moon in the 8th house had to go through a strange kind of black magic spell, wherein on every Amavasya, that is no moon day, and every Purnima, that is full moon day, her sexual urge would become uncontrollable. She was just unable to stop herself. Later she came to know that someone is doing black magic on her, so that she becomes a sex addict. After many years, she came to know that it was her stepmother who was passionately doing this kind of dirty black magic on her. Always remember, my fellows, your enemies are always trying to cast all kind of dirty black magic spells on you. However, these kind of dirty black magic spells work on you only when you too have certain dirty conjunctions in your birth chart, such as this young woman who had Mars, Moon and Rahu in her 8th house in Cancer sign. There are many types of black magic. Some of the black magic spells are cast by the witch through a sexual intercourse. These kind of black magic spells that are cast through sexual intercourse are very dirty and also dangerous. And many become victim to such kind of dirty black magic spells that are cast by the witch after going through a sexual intercourse. The other type of black magic is when the female witch or a male witch starts charging a black doll made of certain ingredients. Through their black magic spells, they prepare this doll as a representative of the target person. And it takes around 3 months to completely charge and connect this doll with the target person. And then the dirty game of black magic begins. Then whatsoever they do on that doll is impacted on the targeted person. Example, they may cast a spell of depression on this doll and the target person will start getting into depression. All of this is possible because the entire universe is connected. Always remember, everything is connected. Everything is connected. All you need to know is how to switch on the button. For example, In your house, the ceiling fan is already connected to the electricity supply. All you need to know is where is the button and how and when to press the button, and the fan will start moving. The male witch or the female witch knows these buttons, and so they can easily play havoc in your life, especially if you have more malefic planets with your moon in your birth chart. But the larger question is that why such malefic planets or malefic conjunctions are in your birth chart? Why it is not in your brother's or in your sister's birth chart? Why it is only seen in your birth chart? And the moment you ask yourself the question why, you start finding the answer. You self-realize that it is because of your own past karma. But the story doesn't stop here. The real essence of your birth and rebirth story is that you have never learned from your mistakes. You continue to do the same thing again and again, and that is how you continue to take birth with such malefic planetary conjunctions. Always remember, life goes on repeating itself unless and until you become mindful. The master says, सूफी संतों की एक कहावत है, आदमी ही एक मात्र गधा है जो दोबारा उसी गड्ढे में गिरता है। रोज रोज वही वही विचार, वही जिंदगी जन्मों जन्मों से। What it means is that man is the only donkey who continues to fall in the same pitfall. Every day, same thoughts, same life, birth after birth. This birth, if you had a divorce or you had committed certain serious mistakes, then every birth you will continue to do the same until the day comes when you start turning inwards, when you start taking the efforts to overcome the repeating pattern of your births and rebirths. And all of this is possible only when the master comes, when the guru takes you under his wings. But the guru comes only, the master comes only when you show certain depth of understanding. The master never comes to a shallow woman or to a shallow man. A shallow man or a shallow woman is caught up in their logic, in their head, and to the master, logic and head is dirty, only your heart is beautiful. So the guru comes only when you start following your heart, when you become a man of heart, when you take efforts to uplift the level of your thoughts, when you start fine-tuning your antenna by doing meditations every day, when you start chanting every day, when you start adhering to a sattvic way of life. Sattvic means being non-violent, being understanding, being forgiving, and being yourself. Remember, everything is possible in this human world if you are willing to take efforts, if you are willing to let change happen within you, if you are willing to wake up and walk on the path of love and devotion, the devotional path, the bhakti marg. Devotional service to Lord Krishna is the chief function of the living entity. There are different methods for the liberation of the conditioned soul: karma, yoga, and bhakti. But all are dependent on bhakti, says Srila Prabhupada of ISKCON. Bhakti, devotional path. I love all those beautiful men and beautiful women who walk on the path of bhakti, devotional path. I tell you, and I tell you all from the bottom of my heart, that there is no path as beautiful and as easy as the path of bhakti, path of love that can help you overcome the many sins of your past and present birth cycle and can help you reach God. There are many ways to reach God. I choose love, says Rumi, the great Sufi saint. Choose the path of love. No matter how difficult is your life, no matter how bad phase you are going through, always remember, bad phase of life is a treasure that from it you find many tools of success. बुरा वक्त एक ऐसी तिजोरी है जहां से सफलता के हथियार मिलते हैं. Every man and every woman on this planet have committed sin in some cycle of births. I have committed certain sins. You have committed certain sins. But what makes one rise above his or her sin is his willingness to change, to transform, to rise above all the temptations by focusing on the self, by focusing on self-growth. That is why Nelson Mandela says, "A sinner is a saint who keeps trying." Always remember, one who looks outside dreams, and one who looks inside awakes. Saint Valmiki was once a thief. His birth name was Ratnakar, but see how he transformed himself and became one of the greatest saint who scripted the greatest scripture of all times, the Holy Ramayana. A sinner becomes a saint and scripts the Ramayana, the most respected scriptures of the Hindus. Many such transformations have happened, my fellows. So malefic conjunction can be channelized positively. But to do so, first you have to start taking efforts. First you have to take the first step towards self-transformation. Always remember, no matter how long is the journey, every journey begins with a small step. Remember, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. No matter how many challenges you may have to face, embrace each challenge in your life as an opportunity for self-transformation. Love to all my listeners and followers. Remember to meditate every day. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.